people don't realize even like the impact that sleep has on an organization from a leadership perspective. It should be a priority of any organization, not just sports teams and athletes. If you're not sleeping well, things are going to be harder and more complicated.
Men has the same skin. Why not use the same thing? I mean, it doesn't work that way. You need moisturizer, you will use a moisturizer. It's human. You need it, you use it, you fix it, that's it.
Just like sunlight, natural light calms cravings. Things with high omega-3s calm your cravings. And so there are things you can do to turn down the volume of your cravings so that you can shift your nutrition.
What truly makes people successful? Is it their grades in school? Is it how hard they worked? Is it their IQ? And it came down to one thing, and that's grit. It's how hard you're going to grind.
We're seeing 20-year-old guys that are completely metabolically unhealthy. Yeah. And again, if you think about the basic unit of energy is ATP, what helps your body make ATP? NAD+. Yeah.
This is Vibe Science, a top 100 wellness podcast presented by the Radcast Network, breaking wellness barriers and making health truly personal. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Sometimes we make things so damn hard, like we want it to be complicated. All right, what is it? What are the keys to success? How do we feel better? You just sleep, damn it.
Yeah, seriously. And people don't realize too, like I think in the business world, there's still like, the startup bro culture of like, rise and grind. Yeah, the hustle culture is crazy, but people don't realize even like the impact that sleep has on an organization from a leadership perspective. Like there's studies showing that there's direct relationships between the hours a CEO gets and the trust and safety the entire organization and employees feel. Like, so very rarely in that world is it really talked about and bought into, but I think times are changing, and eventually over the next couple of years people will realize it should be a priority of any organization, not just sports teams and athletes. Literally anyone trying to move together and achieve a goal. If you're not sleeping well, things are going to be harder and more complicated.
Yeah, and I came up in the ad agency business in the mecca, I wouldn't call it the, madman world, but it was definitely the world of, wear it on your sleeve. Like, did you pull an all-nighter like that last night, man? How long did you work this weekend on the campaign, man? Like, you weren't working hard unless you weren't sleeping.
Right. It's like a badge of honor. I feel like that's like the Wall Street world, like law firms, like especially New York. It's just,
I was in Manhattan
it's like
at the time.
More is better. Oh yeah, Manhattan. That's like the home of all of that mentality.
I know. Luckily though, I think with companies like yours, guys like you, and a lot of the light that's being shined on the importance of, because I think what got missed in all of that, and I know you can speak to this, but like, okay, it's one thing to be tired and not be performing at your best, but all the other illnesses and trauma and everything else that lack of sleep causes, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, from a longevity perspective is, in that culture, that hustle culture, it's like everyone seems to be racing towards money, right? That's a general theme. But who cares how much money you have when you're 50 years old and you're deteriorating, potential neurodegenerative diseases, dementia, Alzheimer's, like you're increasing the risk of all these horrible things when you're racing to get this thing that usually people look to enjoy during those years. So it doesn't make any sense. Really, if you're in the business world and you're trying to make a bunch of money, obviously the point is to enjoy it and do things and experiences that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. And when you're not taking care of yourself, you might not have the chance to do that. And you're definitely not going to feel as good as you wish. My buddy always says, Jesse always talks about, like, if you had $10 billion tomorrow, but you had a sore throat, right? The only thing you could think about is that sore throat, because that's all that matters. And so like when you look at people that are killing themselves to make all this money, well, if they don't feel good, if they feel like shit when they're 50, 55 years old, it's not going to matter, because that's all they're going to be focused on is trying to feel better.
Yeah. I mean, I'd hate to be morbid, but ask Steve Jobs,
Yeah,
perfect example. Made the furthest thing, and I don't know that his had to do with sleep per se, but talking about all the wealth, all the knowledge, all the stuff, the most valuable company in the world, and if you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Yeah, and with his situation, like probably totally out of his control, and who knows the causes of that. But there are tons of diseases that have just as big of impact that can be prevented or at least minimized by sleeping well that people overlook and they don't realize what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Chris and I are on camera a lot. I think we care what we look like. But I think I used to think it was the weirdest thing. I can admit this. I mean, 10 years ago, I've been using moisturizer probably for 10 years, but like 10 years ago, I didn't use moisturizer because I thought it was weird to put like a lotion. And
It
was
like
know it was
feminine.
dermatologic. It just felt like, okay, I'm putting this on my face. Like, what is this doing? And now, I mean, I couldn't imagine not using it because I can feel the difference. But it's as much education as anything.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it was focused on the females first, on the women first. And then men has the same skin. Why not use the same thing? I mean, it doesn't work that way. You need moisturizer. You will use a moisturizer. There's nothing. It's human. It's human. You need it. You use it. You fix it. That's it. But again, it's about the social pressure.
Yeah. It was feminized. Like when I thought of, and some was just my life. I had older sisters. They shave their legs. They put on a lotion every night. It was just like a woman's routine thing. Like my dad definitely wasn't in there putting lotion on his legs.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
maybe a second layer of Old Spice. But
exactly. Or some Brute, you know, it wasn't, he definitely didn't have his leg up on the counter, you know, putting lotion on. So, and even, you know, in sports, like, and I can even attest this to this day in the locker room at the gym I go to, at the sinks, they have bottles of lotion, you know, shaving cream, everything. I'd say maybe 1 out of 10 men I see put lotion on, now that I really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've become a lotion guy the last 2 years. And I'm sitting here right now. I've literally been looking at my legs and I'm like, oh man, I need to put some lotion on before I get out of here.
But that also impacts the sunscreen usage. You know that?
Yeah.
I mean, because now I think the last 10 years, men are using more sunscreen, which is good because you don't want to get skin cancer. But before that, when I was a teenager, you know, us girls, we would use the sunscreen, but when you give it to your guy friends, the boys, they were like, nah, I don't want it. It's like, you are going to have sunburn. It's going to hurt like hell. Are you crazy? And they were like, nah.
You know? So I have all these freckles on my back from growing up on the beach in Florida because I'm like, no, I'm too cool for that. And then, you know, the next day you're like, ah.
Oh, yeah. Remember, you have to like peel, sunburn and everything. That's not fun.
No. I grew up, I don't burn. If I sit out for 24 hours, I'm sure I would, but we have naturally more olive skin. So I get tan quickly, but I had finally started using front sunscreen because it doesn't mean that it's not dangerous or I shouldn't be using it. And I think that's where, you know, we have to get past what is visible as the guide for definitively what's best for us, right? It's like sometimes what you can't see is the problem.
It is. It is a problem, and sometimes it's a blessing because if that problem becomes visible somehow before it becomes a bigger problem, and you have a warning, you have time to solve that problem. So it's good to listen to yourself. It's good to look at your skin and say, there's a change on my skin. Why is that? And just not say, you know, I'm not going to look at it today. Just look at it. Listen to yourself. And sometimes your intuition also tells you, like, this doesn't look right. This doesn't feel right. Take a minute and have a listen to that intuition. It's usually right.
What do you tell people? Is it just, if you start fasting, it's funny when I've fasted that you do take away some of the cravings because you aren't as hungry. You know, it works almost in the opposite way than you think. Like at first, first time you do it, maybe that first, I don't know, you know, period of time you're starving or you think you're starving. But then it's kind of like when I've done keto, which may or may not be good for you. I don't know where you fall on that, but you stop being hungry, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Intermittent fasting actually calms your cravings. Just like sunlight, I will tell you another tip. natural light calms cravings. Things like eating nuts with things with high omega-3s calm your cravings. And so there are things you can do to turn down the volume of your cravings so then you can shift your nutrition.
It's funny. I was reading like a stat from your thing. You talked about it, like the serotonin and all that. You think of it as being like in your brain, but like you said, it's happens in your stomach, in your gut. Like, we think that maybe because where the synapses fire, that's where it starts, but it's obviously being triggered elsewhere.
Yeah, it's like serotonin and dopamine. We always think of it as happiness hormones created in our brain. But I wanted to shed light on the fact that if you want to be more motivated, you want to be happier, more satisfied, you have to change a few other things. What's
the biggest thing, like when you work with people, maybe individually, what do you see that is it start with the food? Like, obviously the food triggers these things, but is it usually something more traumatic maybe than life that then triggers the eating bad? Like, is it the chicken or the egg, or like, where does it all start?
Well, we're finding out now that pregnant women wire the baby's brain. So if you crave a lot of unhealthy foods, it could be from your dad and mom's genes passing down. So in the last 80 years, we have become so much more unhealthier. Because when we don't eat good foods, our children don't eat good foods, and the wiring gets passed down. It's like trauma. Huh. And then the children, like you say, and me, if we stop it right there and start to eat more foods that nurture our gut bacteria, that are healthier, not only do we show our children a different way, it actually gets passed down.
I'm a hard worker. I like to work. Like, I came up that way. I don't know if I was always that way, but once I was I don't mind working long, hard. Doesn't matter. But at the same time, you do start to think I can get some help on this to free up some time over here. It's like hard to know when to hold them and when to fold them on like the stuff that you do.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I always struggled with.
No, that's totally valid. I mean, I'm at that point where I'm doing, we're $100 million company now, and I'm still doing posting stuff on Facebook. So like we can easily outsource.
Ben, come on. Ben.
Yeah. So sometimes it's a matter of, learning how to delegate. And that is an issue that I have. But at the beginning, I mean, you got to be everyone. You got to wear all the hats. You got to work your ass off. And, there was an article the other day that I read about, they were comparing what truly makes people successful. Is it their grades in school? Is it how hard they worked? Is it their IQ? And it came down to one thing, and that's grit. It's how hard you're going to grind, how hard you're going to work, and how much you want it. And you make it, you want it bad enough, you're going to figure out a way to make it happen. And, when you don't have the resources, especially early on in a business, and I know you got a lot of listeners who hopefully this will resonate with right now. You don't have those resources. You don't have the money. You don't have all the employees or all the different guys that can post on Facebook or make videos for you, all that stuff. You got to be the guy. You got to be the girl. You got to go out there and make stuff happen until you're making enough where you can start to delegate. And yes, we're at a level where we're starting to do that now and bringing on more people to kind of take some stuff off my plate. But at the same time, man, I'm still in the trenches. I mean, we're not done. And until you're done, you got to keep the pedal to the metal. You got to keep the fuel on the fire. You got to keep working, keep hustling, keep making it happen, keep finding ways to get better, because the competition's coming and you got to stay ahead of them.
Yeah.
We're seeing 20-year-old guys that are completely metabolically unhealthy. Yeah. So age doesn't determine if you need this. How you feel determines how you need this. Yeah. And again, if you think about the basic unit of energy is ATP, what helps your body make ATP? NAD+. Yeah. So it makes sense that if you suffer from fatigue, you're tired, brain fog, decreased recovery of exercise, just feeling not being the best self, you should consider NAD as one of your supplements. Of course, when we do biohacking, we do hormone, we do longevity and wellness medicine, it's never just one thing.
Sure.
I'm not going to sit here and to say, you just take NAD, doesn't matter what you eat, you don't exercise, and you're going to be great. It is part of the protocol, including better nutrition, exercise, good sleep, stress management, hormone optimization at whatever stage, and then NAD becomes something on top. It's it's the synergy of all this. But NAD, again, because of its basic physiological function of increasing energy, of making ATP for energy, should be part of your wellness protocol.
I mean, this is something, like you said, to get the hormones right. I'm on testosterone, I'm on the peptides. This is kind of the cherry on top, right? To fully, and then there's all these other benefits, which I know, like the hot one right now, hair, skin, and nails, right? I think it's safe to say anything that's helping your cells regenerate and stay healthy is going to keep you probably physically looking healthier too, right?
Completely.
I mean, is there any data on that or how that affects the body, or is that just basic, hey, cells regenerate, you're healthier, you're not dying off as quick?
So that's it. Again, no double placebo randomized control studies on that, but it makes physiological sense. And when you think about skin and hair, those are the cells that we produce a lot quickly. So you shed so many hair cells. So your mitochondria, your DNA has to always been working to make new cells. So NAD helps with all of this, with DNA stabilization, with replication, so it doesn't make that much mistakes. So one of the good benefits of NAD, when NAD works, you will see changes in your skin structure. Your collagen feels different. I definitely experienced that. Same thing. And that's when you get into the 40s, 50s, start having skin laxity. I've no question see the difference. Women love to take NAD because they see it on their skin pretty quickly. So when you look at all the benefits, whether they're aesthetic, physiologic, metabolic, anti-aging, neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory, so many benefits. Now, I'm going to caution something that, if you have active cancer, to stay away from this. Because again, active cancer, those cells multiply fast, right? So you don't want to take it if you have active cancer. And then now the next question becomes, well, what if I don't know if I have active cancer and I take NAD? Will it make my cancer grow faster? So that's a theoretical question. We don't have any studies. It's never been something that we've seen. So if you have active cancer, you want to stay away from this. The same way if you have active cancer, you don't want to take growth hormone peptides, right? So those are the precautions that you want to be sure. But again, NAD is a dietary product. It's not, because it's so safe that the FDA doesn't regulate it, because really we haven't had any main issues. Another thing we want to talk about the metabolites of NAD. So that was raised at the last longevity conference that I went to. And those were the people that look at biological aging. They say, yes, NAD is really important. But there was a question whether some metabolites can accumulate and long-term can cause damage. Again, no studies. But again, like everything, more is not always better. You use NAD at the lower-ish doses. That's why I like the 50 milligram to take a few times a week, just enough to support your body, but not to completely overwhelm your system.
The content discussed on this show is provided for reference and educational purposes. The content is not an attempt to practice medicine or provide specific medical advice. Always consult your personal physician for medical advice and proper diagnosis.
Thanks for listening. This is Vibe Science. To learn more or watch full episodes, visit vibesciencepodcast.com. Here's to discovering your highest vibe.